Coach Hugh Freeze addressed the media, and are there changes on the horizon coming for this Auburn offense after the bye week? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I am your guy, Ike Jones. Sitting in with me today is Kyle Rush. I'm in here for Mike G today. We're here. Turn us up, turn us on. Let's get straight into it, talking a little Auburn football today, man. Coach Hugh Freeze had an opportunity to address the media after the bye week, going into the Georgia game. And listen, first and foremost, Kyle, can we admit some things here to the people? You and I very much Hugh Freeze, like we were on the Hugh Freeze train, right?
We were. Mm-hmm.
And I can admit, I don't want to speak for you. I can admit it's been disappointing, the results so far on the field. We can agree with that, right?
I cannot argue with that.
Okay.
It's even really beyond disappointment. It's more like sort of in shock. I think,
yeah.
Than anything.
Like what are we actually seeing here? Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that there is a I don't even have an explanation for what I'm seeing with this. It's just weird, right? So,
Yep.
But here's the thing that I want to drill down to before we get into our topics and the things that we said we were going to talk about. What I liked about what I heard from Coach Hugh Freeze was immediately he did the thing that everybody says he never does, which is he didn't put any blame on anybody. He was just like, we've got to do better as a staff. Now, he didn't, he said it starts with me. You know, he wasn't just like, it's all me. It's all on me. If you want to blame somebody, blame me. Like, he didn't do that. But he definitely did not start saying, this guy's got to play better and this guy's got to make a play and this guy's got to coach it better. He was just like, listen, coaching staff, either we didn't prepare them properly or we're making bad play calls, something, but we've got to figure out how to get this fixed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you nailed it right at the beginning. That's what people complain about, and he put the blame squarely on their shoulders, it seemed like. He even went so far as later on in Tiger Talk, he said that was the A&M game was the worst experience he's ever had offensively in his career. Like,
yeah,
he didn't mince words. He definitely
he called it sickening.
Sickening, yeah. And I think most people, especially last year when you felt like maybe there was some shade at Peyton Thorne or blame there when maybe it could have gone all around like we talked about, you would think they ought to be feeling maybe a little bit refreshed. I don't know if that refreshed is the right word, but it's good to at least acknowledge that, hey, there's a problem and we're trying to fix it. I guess that makes you feel a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's evident that there's a problem. And, this is something I've said to Mike. Like, people are upset at what they're hearing from Hugh Freeze about the repetitive nature. I don't know what you want him to say at this point in time. Like, there's literally, like, unless he's going to win the game, unless Auburn's winning, there's nothing you really want to hear from your coach.
No. Yeah, I remember, when it was I've talked with some people, they're like, I just want him to say less. He's saying just too much. He wants to say less. Well, that's what Gus did. And like, we didn't like it when Gus did that. We want a coach to be able to speak out and share his mind. The bottom line is you don't really care what he's saying. Right. You don't really care. You're just mad because we're losing and you're mad at Hugh. And that's totally understandable. But like we will pick apart answers like nobody's business right now. And I guess that's part of it. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, you don't really care that much. It doesn't really make you that mad. You're just really mostly mad because Auburn's not winning right now and they look bad on offense. And that's Hugh Freeze's thing is offense. So, but yeah, I don't know what he can say right now that's going to work until he starts winning.
Yeah, I mean, like, he is it, man. He could have come out and said, man, we had an amazing week of practice and Jackson Arnold looks like a superhero. He's flying around. People like, you're lying. Like, there's no good thing that could come out of this conversation. But we still do want to talk about some things that we heard, things that were very interesting. And you mentioned, acknowledgement of things that are bad. I don't know that there's much that we can say that is worse than what has been the offensive line play in the last two
Mm.
games versus Texas A&M and Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold right now, listen, I talked about it all offseason about how terrible that Oklahoma offensive line was and how many sacks they gave up, bottom of the league in or in the country in sacks surrendered, and we're right back in that same position with
Yeah.
Auburn's offensive line. 20 sacks already through 5 games for
Mm.
Auburn, leading the country in that statistic. Um, and it starts a lot with what's happening on the offensive line. Two things that he mentioned I want to talk about here with this offensive line. I think the more interesting thing, and we'll start with the more interesting one, was he said Xavier Chaplin's got like a hearing thing where he's not hearing the clap that they're using to initiate plays, which is causing him to have the false start issues and also not have get off on the ball properly
Yeah.
at the snap. So what were your thoughts when you heard him say that?
I have so many questions. I have
Yeah,
so many questions here, but I'm curious to know, I guess, how this goes unnoticed. Was this something he's always had?
yeah,
Is this something that maybe they just discovered, or maybe even he just discovered over this last 2 road game? I don't assume Baylor was very loud. I don't think we had very many penalties or procedural penalties in that particular game, and they were firing off the ball really well. But it makes sense
yeah,
if you can't hear the cadence, and we continue to do the clap thing, where you got to listen for an audible cadence on a road environment. It makes sense as to why so much of being an offensive line is timing in that first big couple of steps. And if you're behind a little bit because you can't hear the snap, and maybe you're having to wait to look for movement, well, the defensive line's already firing off, so it makes it that much tougher.
yeah.
I just got so many questions. Like, when did this happen? Like, is this something that he's always had? Is it just not that loud in the ACC, or did
Right.
the offense he play in, did they just do a different type of cadence that you didn't have to listen so intently? I have so many questions.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely odd, especially considering what that they do when going into road environments. They practice with a bunch of noise in the state.
Yes.
It's like, was he jumping off sides during practice because they couldn't to your point, I don't know how you go 3 road games now in Power 4 situations and you've never had this issue pop up at any point in time in your preparation, or you got 2 weeks worth of SEC trips and you're like, wait a minute, something's wrong here. Like what,
Yeah.
but I don't know, if that was, maybe it was just something he had figured out how to work around and it's gotten progressively worse. Like, yeah, it raises way more questions than it answers anything for you. And I think it's going to be crazy if, we won't find out until they go on the road again, which will be what, Arkansas.
Yeah.
And if it works, you're just like, God, could you not figure this out 3 weeks earlier?
That's what's crazy, man, is because 2 weeks ago, so Texas A&M week, we were there Tuesday for practice, and they had like a set of hand trucks. Okay, so think about a hand trucks, and it was literally top to bottom speakers.
Yeah,
Okay, and they were wheeling them around, especially on offensive line drills, and they were setting that thing up quite literally steps behind the offensive lineman. I mean, and it's blaring Texas A&M crowd noise like that, like as close as from, you're talking 3 or 4 feet. So like you were doing everything you could for the noise portion of it. I, I almost wonder if it got injured. Like maybe they went
right.
overboard and maybe it injured his ear or something like that during practice. Like I know that's probably far fetched, but it's just you were doing stuff like this. You did it the week prior on the indoor for Oklahoma, where if I don't know if you've been in that indoor when they're working the noise, like can get so loud you can't hear the person next to you talking.
Yeah,
So that just blows my mind that like we were just now kind of figuring this out. And I don't necessarily know that I've really put any blame on anybody. Is that something that you should have known, or there's a
yeah.
lot of people that seem like, oh man, I can't believe we didn't already know this. I mean, they don't tell
I
you
mean,
they
it
have a.
does seem like an odd thing to not know, though, right?
It does. It does, unless it's a very recent thing.
Right.
Yeah. But it's crazy that it makes so much sense though, going back and thinking about it. And Hugh's tone changed. Everybody's tone changed after halftime of that game, because they went from, if you jump off sides again, we're benching you, to, hey, we talked about it. And we talked about it with Chaplin. We thought about mentioning him. He said he's having trouble hearing some of the snap stuff, and they would like go into a huddle. They would do some different things.
Yeah.
And there were no procedural penalties in the second half.
Yeah.
But more than likely, it was just still the can't quite hear, and we're coming off a little bit slower than we really need to be.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't want to get into the adjustments thing, because I've had this conversation with people, and I just again, admittedly, I was on board with Hugh Freeze, and so maybe I'm a little more apt to defend things, and I'm just
Sure.
like, oh, so hey, listen, I can be an apologist at times when I feel as if people are saying things that I don't feel like are completely accurate. So, and I don't want to get into a defense mode, but I do.
We probably
think
agree then. we probably would agree on more things than we would disagree.
Yeah. I feel like people kind of flying off the handle about some stuff. Anyway, I don't want to get bogged into that. Other things that we heard about the offensive line was potentially, he said, playing a little bit more too tall coming up. And so, the follow-up question did not come from that, but my question would have been, where? Whose snaps is he going to take if he's going to be playing a little bit more? And I don't know what the answer to that is going to be. Like, who do you feel like has not played well, other than like, let me just tell you who I think.
Yeah, sure.
Who I think he should be playing for. Mason Murphy hasn't played well, man. Like, let's just okay, Xavier Chaplin, cool. You can't hear. That's affecting you. What's your problem on the other side of the line, brother?
Yeah, and that was his position last year. But the thing is, he hasn't played a single snap at right tackle. He's only played 6 snaps at left tackle. Most all of his work
have been interior at guard work. When Jeremiah Wright got hurt, he would go in there. Yeah.
So I don't know if you're trying to figure out what the best 5 is.
Do you kick Dylan Wade back out to tackle and play him at the guard?
I still feel like I think they're going to try to figure out a way to make Chaplin work. Like, I think he's not moving.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I wonder if it could just be a straight up swap at right tackle with Mason Murphy, and maybe Mason Murphy slides inside, or there's a couple of different options. But that was my first question, was where.
That's what I'm saying. Like, who's not playing there on the interior then? Like, because I don't feel like Jeremiah Wright, he had like an ankle injury or whatever. I don't know. Maybe he's not as healthy right now, and so you're trying to give him a little bit more time to recover. I don't think. I mean, Dylan Wade's had a few procedural penalties. Maybe, I don't know. Like, but I do wonder, if you're going to play too tall more snaps, whose snaps is he going to be taking?
Yeah, Xavier Chaplin and Mason Murphy, both of their pass blocking grades are the worst on that starting 5. Now, if you feel like you got Chaplin sort of squared away, or maybe you got something you can lean on to square that away, Mason has definitely been struggling. He's much better in the run game than he is in the pass game. The good news is I feel like you got a guy that could play 4 of the positions on the offensive line and not see much of a drop off, maybe even see some improvements if you get the right mix in there. But that's the luxury of having too tall, and he's sort of earned his right to play, earned his snaps. So the idea that he's going to play a little bit more, I want to know more. Also, is it a rotation thing?
Yeah.
Or is it what does playing more mean?
Right.
Does that mean going in and starting, or does that mean there's going to be some sort of rotation? Because I don't know how I feel about a rotation of really anything other than, maybe running backs or wide receivers. Offensive line, that's chemistry, and they got to work as one unit. I don't know how well I feel about rotating dudes in, if that's the case.
I don't think rotating offensive linemen is a good thing unless you're going to get back into tempo, right? And you want to try to keep guys fresh.
Fresh, yeah.
But if you're going to run more tempo, then you're definitely going to have to figure out how to get first downs, which those did not come very often in that Texas A&M game.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get off the offensive line because, frankly, I'll use Coach Hugh Freeze's term. It's sickening to talk about it because it's been pretty bad these last 2 games. But we're going to get a quick word in from our sponsors. You guys are watching here on the Auburn Express. Appreciate you guys tapping in with us. If you are in the middle of this video, go ahead and like the video. Get a quick word in here from our sponsors, from the good folks over at the Rogue Shop. They are always great sponsors of the War Report. RogueShop.com is where you want to go. America's #1 online dispensary is the Rogue Shop. Use code REPORT to get 15% off, whether it's sleep, stress, pain, anxiety relief, whatever ails you in life. The Rogue Shop has a remedy there for you. We also want to thank the good folks over at AMA and Associate. That's Abels, Iano Moore and Associates, registered investment advisors. We always encourage our listeners to support our sponsors, and that includes the folks over there at Abels, Iano Moore and Associates. And I know some of you might think, I don't have enough money for a financial advisor, or maybe it hasn't crossed your mind at all. But the truth is, nearly everyone can benefit from financial guidance. The best part, there's no upfront cost. Abels, Iano Moore and Associates offers an initial consultation so you can see if they're the right fit for your needs. It's not just about investing. It's about creating a plan that gives you flexibility and helps you to build wealth over time for yourself and your family. Call Abels, Iano Moore and Associates at 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com. That's AIMAINC.com. I'm confident you'll be glad you did. The War Report has been compensated by AMA and Associates for this endorsement. Abels, Iano Moore and Associates is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risk, including the personal loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. You know who's we're hoping has future results, Kyle? The Auburn offense.
Need it bad.
More specifically, the guy who is the trigger man for the offense. No, I'm not talking about Coach Hugh Freeze or Coach Nix who are calling plays. I'm talking about one Jackson. If I knew his middle name, I would throw it in right there just for a little bit more official. Arnold. He's the guy who has really, he came in with a lot of criticism. A lot of it deserved based upon what happened his first full season as the starter, or coming into the season, didn't play the full season there at Oklahoma as the starter. And a lot of those bad habits that Oklahoma fans have been raining down all over social media since the moment he hit the transfer portal and decided he was going to Auburn. They came and they were warning Auburn fans, he's terrible. He holds on to the ball too long. He's going to fumble the ball 800 times. And I'll be doggone if he hadn't fumbled the ball a bunch. Hadn't lost any of them, but he did fumble the ball quite a bit the first couple of games. He has been holding on to the ball too long. All of the things, they're prophets out there, man. And the question is, and it was a great question asked at the presser, has Jackson Arnold been too risk averse? Has he been trying so hard not to be, quote unquote, the reason for Auburn giving up bad field position because he's turning the ball over, that he's paralyzed the offense in some ways? Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
Dadgummit, if they weren't all over that one, if they weren't completely right about that, we kind of just played it off that, no, that's just sour grapes. But they were very specific, and one of the things for sure was that he holds on to the ball too long. And to answer the question directly about being risk averse, that might have something to do with it. He didn't turn the ball over through the air very often at Oklahoma either last year. But something about it doesn't seem like it's I don't feel like it's consciously being risk averse. To me, it feels almost like in golf, they call it the yips, where you just can't pull the club back, or you just have a mental block about a certain aspect. A catcher throwing the ball back to the pitcher. and he can't do it. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a mental block. I can't get it back to the pitcher. I can throw it anywhere else on the field. That's what it feels like to me because Ike, man, that second play of the Texas A&M game, the rollout, throw the stick on the outside to Malcolm Simmons, that is elementary school football. Like there's one read, there's no thinking. You're sprinting out and you're going to hit him coming out of his break, and you can't get it off in time. And the window that created closes in an instant whenever you're not on time. And so many of the throws feel like they're not on time. I talked about a while ago, maybe even with Mike, how it feels like none of our receivers are open. It's like they're just getting every catch is contested. Maybe that's because none of the throws are on time, or a lot of the throws aren't on time as well. So that's the part that worries me, because if you don't understand the coverage, or you're throwing to the wrong shoulder, or you're doing this, like those kind of things are correctable. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can go back and film and say, no, look, you're getting caught up with this safety. You're watching the wrong things. You need to start watching this as your keys. Those things are easy to fix. If it's something that's like between the ears, like I don't know how you fix that even in 2 weeks. That's like something that's like a multi-year project to coach out of you. That's the only thing that worries me. Now, him running the ball, that's why I think running the ball is so dang important, because he can run and there's play action off of that.
Right.
And we kind of get away from that and just turn him into a drop back passer, which he's just not right now. That's the only thing that concerns me, man. And it may be a faulty concern, but it feels like it's something mental more so than it is like film study and mechanical and things like that. It just seems like it'd be harder to fix.
Yeah, I mean, what's weird to me, right? Because I do film study on this stuff every single week, and I look at it and I look at stuff and I'm just like, yeah, do that more, right? Like I can see reps where he's doing the thing and he gets to this progression. It's like, okay, it's not there. I'm off of that. Let me get here. Okay, I'm off of that. Let me get to my check down, or I'm off of that. Let me get out of here. And then 4 or 5 plays in a row where it's just like, bro, what were you looking at? Right. Like, I don't know why. For me, I don't know that it's the yips. I think he has lapses where it's just like certain points in time, he falls into this place where he's not putting it all together the way it's supposed to be put together. And I don't know if it's not consistent, like if it's a thing, if it's just this one thing and you can identify it and say that's the thing, I think that makes you a little bit more confident to say either I can coach it out of him or he's never going to be over this. Let's move on. But it's more frustrating for me, and I'm assuming for the coaches, where it's like, I've seen you do this and you've done it right. I've seen you do it right in this game. Why are you doing it wrong in these other places? And you don't even have a way to know when it's going to pop up. It's just going to happen one random time in the game where you're like, yo, I needed you to, like a great, for instance, he underthrew the deep shot in the Oklahoma game to Cam Coleman like 3 times.
Yep.
And all of them, I mean, they were in the ballpark of where they needed to be, right? He just underthrew it, but at least Cam had an opportunity to go make a play on the ball. Right. Until you had the touchdown.
And then you laser beamed it.
Air mailed it by like 5 yards. And I was like, why on the one where underthrowing it was absolutely acceptable?
Yeah. He can throw. He puts it into windows sometimes where you're like, man, that's just an incredible throw. I would even say the placement, even though it was it only goes down in the stat book as a 2-yard touchdown pass, but the fade ball he threw to Cam on the goal line right there against Oklahoma was perfect placement. Like he can do those things. Like he has that ability. It's just, man, sometimes the holding on to the ball situation when he goes through whatever it is, whether it's a yip or a not able to identify that. Hugh says it's going from progression 2 to progression 3. Maybe that's the case.
Yeah, no, I mean
whatever it is.
it absolutely has been in some situations. It's like he's on a read on the right side, and
Mm,
it's a high low, and he's like, all right, cool. I'm on my high, and then I come down to my low, and it's like, okay, get off it. It's not there. Go to the other side, and because your backside throw is there, and you
yeah,
just don't ever get around to it. And by the time you decide to make that pivot and turn, the rush is there.
sure. So do you think it's what was the initial question? Is it
Risk averse.
risk averse? Do you think it's him being overly risk averse, or do you think it's something else?
I think he just gets stuck in the mud sometimes, man.
Yeah,
Like I don't think he's like, I can't pull the trigger on that one. They might intercept
pick it
it.
off.
Like,
Yeah,
because
I don't
he's
either.
had too many throws where he just
Close
lets it
call.
rip and he almost got it intercepted,
Yeah,
right? So I do think sometimes, and maybe that's a part of it, right? Like an early throw that almost is an interception makes him question it a little bit more on that
maybe.
second time where he's going to go to that. But I don't know, man. Like, it's again, if it were just one thing, I'd feel a lot better analyzing it. But it doesn't feel like it's one thing. It feels like it could be this, or it could be that, or it could be this. It's like I feel like I am typing this into WebMD and it's just spitting out everything that has
Yeah,
something similar with the symptoms out there. And now I just got to go through a laundry list of trying to process of elimination this thing to figure out what's the remedy for it. But for me, the remedy is what you already said.
yes,
Fine. You're having struggles reading it, letting it rip. Cool. You know what you are comfortable with? Running.
yes,
So
yes,
we will turn into a power running team with a read option. Like we will Gus Miles on this thing as much as we need to make sure that you're comfortable with everything you're seeing. You know how to, okay, we 7 guys in the box. We got 7 guys in here to block. Who's my unblocked guy? I'm going to read that guy. It's a keep or it's a give. If they're playing light on the outside, we're just going to play quick game. We can do that 30 snaps a game if we have to.
yeah. What's so funny, Ike, is that first game, there was a common word that Jackson used a lot and that Hugh used a lot, and it was patience. Patience. And has anything about the last two game plans felt anything other than another P word is panic? It
Yeah.
felt like we've been in a panic the last two games, and we've only been down like one score
Yeah.
at most in both of those games.
Yeah,
I
you
think,
would swear Auburn was down by 20 the amount of times they've gone to dropbacks. It's
yeah,
like
it's
you,
it's like let's
you're
just
down
go
to
straight.
score.
Yeah, let's drop back and throw it 40 times. Like we're down three scores. We got to throw our way back into this game. And Hugh mentioned getting behind the chains. Like, yeah, like I get that, but like, what got you behind the chains to begin with? Now you started noticing him talk about, hey, we're going to need to try to get those 2 and 3 yard runs, even if it's only 2 and 3 yards. Like that's better than a false start on a drop back pass, or a holding call on a drop back pass, or a sack on a drop back pass. Some of those behind the chains we're doing to ourselves
Right.
because we're not being patient, because we're not just trying to take that 4 yards. Hey, 4 yards is a success. That needs to be the mindset. It does not have to be we got to throw the ball down the field. And sometimes, like, I almost wonder too if there's a pitch count in his mind, in our mind. Like, we got to make sure we get Cam Coleman X amount of targets. We got to make sure we get Eric Singleton X amount of targets. And then when you're play calling that way, you're not taking what the defense is given to you. You're trying to maybe take a little bit what the defense is given to you and then force a ball to, your playmakers. We got to cut all that out. Like, just it may not look good. It may look ugly. But
Yeah.
all it's got to do is get first down to put points on the board. And we'll figure it out. We'll figure out how to get better. But you can't keep putting Jackson in situations he just simply can't execute, and he can't drop back and go through more than two or three progressions right now with our offensive line the way they're executing, and then just him overall being able to actually, like you said, get in the mud a little bit. He gets caught in the wash a little bit. He can't quite work himself out of that yet.
Yeah, I mean, and then listen, if you want to give yourself a higher pitch count, stay on the field a little bit longer. Okay.
Hey,
You
there's a
get a
thought.
couple of first downs, you get more opportunities to go throw the ball to those great receivers that
More
you want to get.
plays.
Yeah. But 3-and-outs aren't going to do it, especially when you're not executing well in the first and second down of that. Now you're in 3rd and long, and then you want to hand the ball off for a 4-yard gain. It's like, yeah, this was a better call on first down.
Yep.
So because you would have had 2 downs of 6 yards to get rather than 2 downs of 10 plus, which has been the case all too often for Auburn going into 2nd and 3rd down.
15th in the conference in total plays. So you want to get more pitches, you want to get more targets, you gotta have more plays. You gotta have more. You get more plays by getting more first downs. It's that simple. You're almost dead last in that category. So figure out ways to move the chains, man, and you're going to get more opportunities. That's what you got to do.
Math, man, it's a wonderful thing. It applies to football too.
It's crazy.
All right. We're going to get out of here, though, because I want to hear from you all in the comment section. Listen, I know. Before you type it, hopefully you heard me say this before you type this out. I know you don't want to hear anything from the coach, but what do you want to see from this football team when they play Georgia this weekend differently, other than the outcome on the scoreboard? 100% people want to get the win. How do you want to see that evolve? Definitely want to hear that down there in the comment section. Kyle, before we get out of here, tell the people once again how they can keep up with what you got going on over at the Barn.
Yeah, man, go to thebarnauburn.com. That's our message board. That's where we have all of our conversations, talk recruiting, talk of this new schedule deal we got going on next year. That's a lot of the conversation right now. A great community. Come join us.
Absolutely. Well, we are out of here. You know where you can find us. We're at the War Report out there on all the social media platforms. Make sure you hit up the warreport.com to check out the website and the articles that are going on over there. Definitely some good information. And if you're listening to this on podcast, make sure you go ahead and give us that 5-star review. We definitely appreciate that. We're out of here until the next time. And as always, War Eagle. War Eagle.